The Vatican's underground vaults hold documents that could turn your perception of reality upside down. Officially, the Catholic Church is preparing an army of warrior priests to fight the forces of evil. Over the past 20 years, the number of exorcists has increased tenfold, and cases of possession are being reported even in the most developed countries in the world. What is the Vatican hiding behind a veil of secrecy? Why have demons become more active in the 21st century? And what technologies do modern hunters of evil forces use? Welcome to the world of the secret war between good and evil. If you found this topic interesting, be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video. And in the comments, write your opinion. Do demons really exist? Or are they all mental disorders that the Church passes off as possession? Your opinion is very important to us. In the silence of the Vatican archives, there are documents that will never see the light of day. Reports of cases so unusual that even church hierarchs prefer to keep quiet about them. We are talking about exorcism, an ancient ritual of expelling evil spirits, which is experiencing a real revival in the 21st century. Every year, hundreds of priests around the world perform rituals that ordinary parishioners are unaware of. Officially, the Catholic Church recognizes the existence of the devil and the need to fight demonic manifestations. But the true scale of this invisible war remains a closely guarded secret. In the basements of the Vatican, specially trained exorcist priests study cases of possession from all continents. Their methods combine ancient traditions with modern technology, and the results of their work are classified as top secret. 30 years ago, exorcism was spoken of in whispers, perceived as a relic of the Middle Ages. Today, however, the number of officially registered cases of possession is growing every year. Priests undergo special training in Rome, studying not only theology, but also the basics of psychiatry, medicine, and even criminology. After all, a modern exorcist must be able to distinguish true possession from mental disorder or fraud. In the 2000s, the Vatican made a revolutionary decision. For the first time in centuries, an official school for exorcists was established. The courses are called Exorcism and Prayer for Liberation and are held at the Pontifical University Regina Apostolorum in Rome. Priests from all over the world come here to master the art that their predecessors passed on only by word of mouth. But the most striking thing is the statistics that the Church carefully hides from the public. According to internal documents, the number of requests for help from exorcists has increased more than tenfold over the past 20 years. The geography of cases covers all continents, from the industrial cities of Europe to the remote villages of Africa. And in each region, demonic manifestations have their own characteristics, which leads researchers to talk about the existence of different schools of evil forces. What happens behind closed doors when an exorcist priest comes face to face with the forces of evil? On September 23, 2014, the Vatican published a document that shocked even the most liberal Catholics. The official statement from the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith spoke of the growing need for the ministry of exorcists and the need to expand their training. The figures cited in the document were staggering. In Italy alone, there were more than 300 officially appointed exorcists at the time, and the number of requests for their help exceeded 500,000 cases per year. Pope Francis has repeatedly confirmed the reality of the devil's existence. calling him a person, not a symbol or a concept. In his speeches, the pontiff openly speaks about the need for spiritual struggle and the importance of exorcists in the modern church. This position is radically different from the liberal trends in Catholicism, which have long sought to rationalize the doctrine of evil spirits. Statistics kept by the International Association of Exorcists paint a surprising picture. In the United States, the number of official exorcists has grown from 12 in 2005 to more than 200 in 2020. There are 73 exorcist priests in Germany, 58 in France, and 123 in Poland. But the highest rates are recorded in Latin America and Africa, where the traditions of spiritual warfare have never completely disappeared. Of particular interest is the data on the age groups of people seeking help. Contrary to the popular belief that exorcism is the preserve of superstitious old people, statistics show the opposite. More than 60% of cases involve people between the ages of 20 and 40, with a significant proportion being educated urban dwellers with higher education. The geography of demonic manifestations also surprises researchers. The largest number of recorded cases of possession occur in large industrial centers and megacities. Rome, Mexico City, New York, São Paulo, and Mumbai are the cities that lead these sad statistics. Church sociologists attribute this to the spiritual crisis of modern society, the departure from traditional values, and the growth of occult practices. The Vatican keeps strict records of all cases of exorcism through a special database, which only the highest church hierarchs have access to. Each case is given a unique code, documented in detail, and analyzed by a group of experts. But what do these secret archives hide? In the heart of the Eternal City, within the ancient walls of the Pontifical University, Regina Apostolorum, something is happening that until recently seemed impossible. Here, in the lecture halls where once only theology and canon law were studied, a course on exorcism and prayer for deliverance is now being taught. This is the first official school of exorcists in history, created on the direct instructions of the Vatican. The course was opened in 2005 under the guidance of Father Gabriele Amorth, the legendary exorcist of Rome, who performed more than 70,000 exorcisms during his career. Amor, who died in 2016, managed to lay the foundations for a modern school of exorcism, combining ancient traditions with scientific research methods. The training program consists of 4 months of intensive study. Priests learn not only the theological aspects of fighting evil, but also the basics of psychiatry, neurology, parapsychology, and even criminology. The course is taught not only by experienced exorcists, but also by psychiatrists, lawyers, and scientists. This interdisciplinary approach allows future exorcists to accurately diagnose the nature of unusual phenomena. Particular attention is paid to studying the differences between true possession and mental disorders. Students study cases of schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, dissociative identity disorder, and other illnesses that can mimic demonic influence. According to university statistics, more than 80% of people who seek help from exorcists actually need medical care. The program also includes a practical component. Students attend real exorcism rituals under the guidance of experienced mentors. These sessions take place in specially equipped rooms at the university, where all conditions for the safe performance of rituals have been created. The rooms are equipped with video recording systems, medical equipment for monitoring patients' conditions, and means of communication with emergency services. The diversity of the students is striking. Priests from North and South America, Africa, Asia, and Oceania come to the courses. Each brings with them stories of demonic manifestations in their region, which allows for the creation of a unique knowledge base on various forms of spiritual possession. But the most interesting thing is the exam that future exorcists must pass. What secrets does this final test of knowledge hide? The process of selecting candidates for exorcists resembles recruitment into elite special services. Not every priest can become a warrior in this invisible war against the forces of evil. The Vatican has developed the strictest criteria that a future exorcist must meet. The first and most important requirement is an impeccable reputation and many years of pastoral experience. Candidates must have served in the priesthood for at least 10 years and receive recommendations from their bishop and colleagues. Psychological stability is the second key factor. Applicants undergo a series of tests by church psychologists who assess their emotional stability, stress resistance, and ability to withstand psychological pressure. The fact is that exorcists face extreme situations that can seriously affect the mental health of even an experienced priest. There are special requirements for education. Candidates must have a degree in theology, as well as additional training in related disciplines such as psychology, medicine, or law. In recent years, the Vatican has begun to give preference to priests with academic degrees, recognizing that a modern exorcist must be not only a spiritual guide, but also a researcher. Physical health also plays an important role. Exorcism rituals can last for several hours at a time, requiring enormous physical exertion. Candidates undergo a full medical examination, including cardiological and neurological tests. There are no formal age restrictions, but in practice, priests between the ages of 35 and 60 become exorcists. Language training is another mandatory requirement. A modern exorcist must be fluent in at least 3 languages: Latin, the language of official rituals; English, the international language of communication; and the local language of the region where he will serve. Many exorcists also study ancient languages, Greek, Aramaic, Hebrew, because, according to church doctrine, demons can speak languages that the possessed person has never known. But the most mysterious requirement concerns so-called spiritual sensitivity. Candidates undergo special tests to determine their ability to distinguish spiritual entities and sense the presence of supernatural forces. The methods of these tests are kept strictly confidential, but it is known that they include prayer practices in places with negative energy and meditation on sacred relics. After successfully passing all stages of selection, the candidate receives a special blessing from the bishop and an official appointment as an exorcist. But what happens to those who fail this test? The Roman ritual is the name of the ancient set of rules for performing exorcisms, which was first codified in 1614 under Pope Paul V. But modern exorcists work with an updated version, which was secretly rewritten at the end of the 20th century to reflect new knowledge in psychology and medicine. This version, known as De Exorcismis et Supplicationibus Quibusdam, was officially approved in 2001. The new ritual includes detailed instructions for diagnosing possession, which are based not only on religious traditions, but also on modern science. The exorcist must establish the presence of 4 main signs of demonic presence: knowledge of languages that the person has never studied, manifestation of superhuman physical strength, the ability to recognize hidden or distant events, an extremely negative reaction to sacred objects and prayers. The procedure for modern exorcism is strictly regulated. Before beginning the ritual, the exorcist must obtain written permission from the local bishop, a medical opinion from a psychiatrist, and the consent of the possessed person's relatives. The entire process must be documented, including a video recording of the main stages of the ritual. These materials are then sent to the Vatican for analysis and archiving. The ritual itself consists of 7 mandatory stages. It begins with a prayer of protection, which is intended to shield the participants from demonic influence. This is followed by interrogatio, the interrogation of the demon, during which the exorcist attempts to learn the name of the spirit, the reason for its presence, and the conditions under which it will leave the victim's body. The third stage is imperatio, commanding the evil spirit to leave the possessed person. If the demon resists, abjuratio is used, a solemn incantation using holy water, a cross, and relics. Modern exorcists use not only traditional attributes, but also high-tech equipment. During the ritual, the patient's vital signs are constantly monitored: pulse, blood pressure, body temperature, brain activity. This data helps to distinguish true possession from mental disorder and ensures the safety of the procedure. A special place in the modern ritual is occupied by so-called diagnostic prayers, special texts that are supposed to provoke a reaction from the demon, if it is indeed present in the person. These prayers were compiled based on an analysis of thousands of cases of exorcism and include invocations in various languages: Latin, Greek, Aramaic, and even some African dialects. But the biggest secret of modern exorcism is the secret protocols for particularly difficult cases. What do priests do when the standard ritual does not help? In 1991, an organization was created in Rome, the existence of which most Catholics are unaware of. The International Association of Exorcists brought together priests who are warriors in spiritual warfare from all continents into a single structure. The association was officially recognized by the Vatican only in 2014, but its activities began much earlier under the veil of strict secrecy. The founder of the association was the aforementioned Father Gabriele Amorth, who understood the need to coordinate the actions of exorcists on a global scale. The first meeting was held in the basement of the Roman Church of San Lorenzo in Panisperna, where only 12 priests from different countries gathered. Today, the association has more than 800 members representing 130 countries around the world. The structure of the organization resembles a military hierarchy. At the head is the president, elected for 4 years by secret ballot. He is assisted by regional coordinators responsible for Europe, America, Asia, Africa, and Oceania. Each country has a national representative who coordinates the work of local exorcists and keeps statistics on cases of possession. The main task of the association is to standardize exorcism methods and exchange experience between priests from different regions. The fact is that demonic manifestations in different parts of the world have their own characteristics associated with local cultural and religious traditions. What works when expelling European demons may be useless against African evil spirits. The association maintains a secret database of all recorded cases of exorcism, which contains more than 150,000 entries. Each case is classified according to the type of demonic manifestation treatment methods, and results. This information is only available to members of the organization and is used to develop new strategies for combating evil forces. Twice a year, the association holds closed conferences where exorcists discuss the most difficult cases and exchange experiences. These meetings are held in various cities around the world: Rome, Fatima, Medjugorje, Lourdes. The program includes not only theological seminars, but also medical consultations, psychological training, and even self-defense classes, as possessed people can pose a physical danger. A special division of the association investigates unusual cases that do not fit into the standard framework. These priest investigators work like real detectives, studying the circumstances of possession, interviewing witnesses, and analyzing material evidence. But the association's biggest secret is the existence of an elite unit that deals with particularly dangerous cases. Who is in this secret group, and what forces are they fighting? Europe, the cradle of Christianity, is today becoming a battleground between ancient traditions and new forms of spiritual evil. Documented cases of exorcism in European countries are striking in their diversity and intensity. From the industrial cities of Germany to the Mediterranean villages of Italy, evil forces manifest themselves in the most unexpected ways. Germany occupies a special place in European exorcism statistics. It has the highest number of cases of possession among educated people with higher education. German exorcists note that modern demons often specialize in the intellectual elite, affecting scientists, doctors, and lawyers. One of the most famous cases occurred in Munich in 2012, when a professor of quantum physics from a local university became possessed. France has faced a wave of unexplained cases in major cities. Parisian exorcist Father François Derive has performed more than 200 exorcisms over the past 5 years. A distinctive feature of French cases is mass possession, when demonic manifestations affect several members of the same family or group at once. In Lyon, there was a unique case of simultaneous possession of all 12 employees of an accounting firm. Italy, as the center of the Catholic world, keeps the most detailed statistics on exorcism. The Italian Association of Exorcists has more than 300 members who conduct over 800,000 consultations annually. Of these, only 3% of cases develop into a full exorcism ritual. But even this figure amounts to more than 24,000 rituals per year across the country. Poland presents a unique picture of spiritual struggle. Here, the tradition of exorcism never ceased, even during the communist era. Polish exorcists have developed unique methods that combine Catholic traditions with elements of folk magic. There is a special center in Warsaw that helps the possessed, accepting patients not only from Poland, but also from neighboring countries. Despite the dominance of the Anglican Church, the UK has also become an arena for Catholic exorcists. The Diocese of London has officially appointed 5 priests to combat demonic manifestations. British cases are particularly aggressive and resistant to standard rituals. One exorcism in a London suburb lasted 14 hours without interruption. Spain has seen a rise in occult practices among young people, leading to an increase in the number of possessions in the 18 to 25 age group. Exorcists in Madrid note a link between the use of social media to spread occult knowledge and the rise in demonic manifestations among teenagers. Scandinavian countries, traditionally considered a bastion of rationalism, have unexpectedly faced a sharp increase in cases of possession. In Sweden, the number of visits to exorcists has increased by 400% over the past 10 years. Norwegian researchers attribute this to the weakening of religious traditions and a growing interest in the pagan practices of their ancestors. But the most mysterious cases have been recorded in Eastern Europe, where Catholic, Orthodox, and ancient Slavic traditions of fighting evil collide. The American continent has become the arena for the most intense spiritual warfare of the 21st century. The United States, where Catholics make up only 23% of the population, has unexpectedly risen to second place in the world in terms of the number of recorded cases of exorcism. Over the past 15 years, the number of officially appointed exorcists has grown from 12 to 250. The American specificity lies in the fact that exorcism here often intersects with other religious traditions. Catholic priests work side by side with Protestant pastors, Orthodox priests, and even representatives of non-traditional denominations. In Texas, a unique interfaith center for combating demonic manifestations has been created, where representatives of 17 different Christian denominations serve. New York has become the true capital of American exorcism. Father Vincent Lampe works here, and in his 20 years of service, he has performed more than 500 full exorcism rituals. According to him, demonic manifestations in the metropolis are particularly intense and are often associated with drug addiction, occult practices, and the activities of sects. California presents a completely different picture. Here, the number of cases of possession among representatives of show business, the IT industry, and the startup community exceeds the average by 5 times. Los Angeles exorcists work with Hollywood actors, directors, and producers, many of whom are interested in Eastern practices and the occult. Mexico ranks first in Latin America in terms of the intensity of exorcism activity. Mexican traditions of fighting evil date back to pre-Columbian times and combine Catholic rituals with elements of ancient Indian rites. There are 420 officially registered exorcists in the country, but the actual number of priests practicing demon expulsion is significantly higher. Brazil has encountered a unique phenomenon: mass possessions during religious holidays and carnivals. Exorcists in São Paulo have developed special mobile teams that are on duty during major celebrations and can respond quickly to cases of demonic manifestations. During the 2024 Carnival, 117 cases of possession were recorded. Argentina is known for cases of so-called intellectual possession, when demons enter people of high social status and education. Buenos Aires exorcists have worked with university professors, government officials, and even judges and diplomats. These cases require a special approach, as the possessed retain their ability to think logically and can mask their condition. Chile has become a center for research into the connection between seismic activity and demonic manifestations. Local exorcists have noticed that the number of cases of possession increases sharply before major earthquakes. This correlation has not yet been scientifically explained, but the Chilean Church keeps detailed statistics on such coincidences. Canada, despite its reputation as a tolerant and rational country, has seen a rise in occult practices among its indigenous population, leading to the emergence of hybrid forms of exorcism that combine Catholic traditions with shamanic rituals. But the most inexplicable cases have been recorded in remote regions of South America, where civilization has not yet supplanted ancient beliefs. The Asian and African continents represent a special chapter in the modern history of exorcism. Here, the Catholic tradition of exorcism clashes with ancient local beliefs, creating unique syntheses of spiritual practices. The results of this interaction sometimes amaze even experienced Vatican researchers. The Philippines, the only Catholic country in Asia, has become a real testing ground for new methods of exorcism. There are 147 officially appointed exorcists working here, who perform more than 10,000 rituals annually. Filipino priests have developed a unique technique that combines Latin prayers with local dialects and traditional healing rituals. India, despite the dominance of Hinduism, has become a place of active work for Catholic exorcists. In Mumbai, Delhi, and Kolkata, there are special centers for helping the possessed, which are visited not only by Christians, but also by representatives of other faiths. Indian exorcists note that local demons are often associated with the caste system and social problems. China, where Christianity exists under restrictions, has become an arena for underground exorcism. Catholic priests work in strict secrecy, using traditional Chinese methods of exorcism combined with Christian rituals. According to unofficial data, there are more than 50 underground exorcists operating in the country. Japan presents a unique case of Christian exorcism adapting to local culture. Japanese Catholic priests study Buddhist and Shinto purification practices to better understand the nature of local spiritual problems. A research center has been established in Tokyo to study the interaction of different religious traditions in the fight against evil. South Korea has seen a sharp increase in cases of possession among young people who are addicted to computer games and the internet. Seoul exorcists have developed special protocols for dealing with so-called digital possession, when demonic manifestations are associated with excessive use of technology. The African continent has the most intense exorcist activity in the world. In Nigeria, Congo, Kenya, and Uganda, the number of cases of possession is estimated at tens of thousands annually. African exorcists work in conditions where Christianity is intertwined with traditional ancestral beliefs, creating a complex mosaic of spiritual practices. Nigeria has become a center for training African exorcists. Here, in the city of Lagos, there is a special seminary where priests from different countries of the continent study methods of combating local forms of demonic activity. Nigerian exorcists note that African demons are often associated with ancestral curses and traditional magical practices. The Congo has encountered the phenomenon of child possession, where children between the ages of 5 and 12 are susceptible to demonic manifestations. Congolese priests work with international child protection organizations, as many cases are linked to traumatic experiences of military conflict and social instability. Ethiopia, one of the oldest Christian countries in the world, has preserved unique traditions of exorcism that have remained virtually unchanged for 1,500 years. Ethiopian methods of exorcism are studied by researchers from around the world, as they may hold the key to understanding the nature of demonic manifestations. But the most mysterious cases have been recorded in remote areas of Madagascar, where ancient rituals dating back thousands of years are still practiced. The boundary between psychiatry and religion in cases of exorcism remains one of the most controversial topics in modern science. Leading psychiatrists around the world are divided into two camps. Some categorically deny the reality of demonic possession, while others acknowledge the existence of phenomena that cannot be explained from the perspective of traditional medicine. Dr. Richard Gallagher, professor of clinical psychiatry at New York Medical College, was one of the first scientists to officially recognize the reality of some cases of possession. Over 30 years of practice, he examined more than 800 suspected cases of possession and concluded that approximately 5% of them could not be explained scientifically. In 2013, the American Psychiatric Association included for the first time in its recommendations a point about the need to cooperate with religious leaders in the treatment of patients with religious or spiritual problems. This breakthrough was the result of many years of work by a group of researchers led by Dr. Gallagher. Swiss psychiatrist Professor Samuel Pfeiffer created a unique classification of cases of alleged possession. According to his research, 75% of cases are related to mental disorders, 15% to sociocultural factors, 7% to fraud or simulation, and only 3% remain medically unexplained. Of particular interest is the research of German neurophysiologist Dr. Peter Fenwick, who studied the brain activity of people during exorcism. Using MRI and EEG, he found that during moments of the most intense demonic manifestations, areas of the patient's brains that are normally inactive are activated. These areas are responsible for the perception of speech in unknown languages and the demonstration of superhuman strength. Italian psychiatrist Professor Marco Mariani conducted a unique study comparing the symptoms of possession with the clinical manifestations of various mental disorders. He found that true possession has specific characteristics that are never found in mental illness. Knowledge of facts about the exorcist's life that the patient could not have known. The ability to understand and speak ancient languages. Physical strength beyond the capabilities of a person of that physique. A French research group led by Dr. Jean-Claude Larcher studied more than 1,000 cases of alleged possession between 2005 and 2020. The results showed that people diagnosed with mental disorders accounted for only 30% of the total number of people who sought out exorcists. The remaining 70% had no mental health issues prior to the onset of demonic manifestations. A special category is made up of so-called borderline cases, where symptoms of possession appear in patients with mild forms of mental disorders. British psychiatrist Dr. Christopher Cook believes that mental instability can serve as a gateway for demonic influence, but is not its cause. Canadian researchers at the University of Toronto have developed a special protocol for examining people suspected of being possessed. This protocol includes testing for 20 different mental disorders, neurological examination, toxicological analysis, and even testing for possible exposure to narcotic substances or poisons. The most controversial issue remains that of childhood possession, since the psyche of a child is fundamentally different from that of an adult, and many symptoms may have completely different origins. In the basement of the Apostolic Palace, in rooms where no sunlight penetrates, documents are stored that could change humanity's understanding of the nature of good and evil. The Vatican's secret archive contains more than 300 volumes devoted to exorcism, demonology, and cases of supernatural phenomena. Only the highest church hierarchs and specially appointed researchers have access to these materials. The history of the secret archives of exorcism begins in 1580, when Pope Gregory XIII ordered the systematization of all documents related to demonic manifestations. Over 4.5 centuries, evidence of more than 50,000 cases of possession has been accumulated, each of which has been carefully documented and analyzed by church experts. The most ancient documents are written on parchment and contain detailed descriptions of exorcisms performed in the Middle Ages. Of particular interest are records of mass possessions that affected entire monasteries and even cities. These materials are still being studied by historians and theologians, as they may contain clues to understanding modern demonic manifestations. In the 19th century, the archive was supplemented with unique documents from various parts of the world. Missionaries brought detailed reports from Africa, Asia, and America about encounters with local forms of evil. These materials allowed church demonologists to create the first classification in history of different types of demons and methods of combating them. The 20th century brought new types of documents to the archives: photographs, audio recordings, and later video materials. The most extensive collection concerns cases of possession during World War II, when the number of demonic manifestations increased sharply throughout Europe. Vatican analysts attribute this to a spiritual crisis caused by mass killings and destruction. A special section of the archive is devoted to so-called unsolved cases, situations where standard methods of exorcism proved ineffective. There are more than 3,000 such documents, and each one presents a mystery for church researchers. Some cases have been studied for decades but remain unexplained. The archives also contain documents about exorcist priests who were injured while performing their duties. Over 4 centuries, there have been 117 recorded cases of serious injury or death of exorcists during rituals. Analysis of these tragedies has helped to develop modern safety measures for conducting rituals. The modern section of the archive is maintained electronically and contains digital copies of all documents related to exorcism in the 21st century. Each case is given a unique code and classified according to a variety of parameters: geographical location, type of demonic manifestations, social status of the possessed, and the effectiveness of various treatment methods. Documents about so-called high-ranking possessed individuals, cases of demonic influence on politicians, business people, scientists, and other influential people are kept especially secret. These materials are classified for 100 years and stored in a special safe under the personal control of the Cardinal Secretary of State. But the biggest secret of the archives is the existence of the Black Series, a collection of documents about cases that officially never happened. In the age of digital technology, even the ancient rite of exorcism is undergoing radical changes. Modern exorcist priests use high-tech equipment that would have seemed like science fiction half a century ago. From infrared cameras to artificial intelligence systems, technology has become an integral part of the fight against evil forces. Italian exorcist Father Cesare Truzzi was the first in the world to use thermal imaging cameras during rituals. These devices record changes in the body temperature of the possessed, which often accompany demonic manifestations. According to Truzzi's observations, at moments of most intense activity of evil forces, the temperature can drop by 15 to 20 degrees in just a few seconds. American exorcists have developed a mobile application called Holy Assistant to assist priests during rituals. The app contains a complete database of prayers in 27 languages, including ancient languages such as Latin, Greek, Aramaic, and Coptic. In addition, the program times the ritual, records audio, and can contact medical services in an emergency. German researchers have created a system for analyzing the voices of possessed people, which can determine whether a person is speaking a language they do not know. The program analyzes phonetic features, intonations, and grammatical structures, and compares them with a database containing samples of more than 500 languages and dialects of the world. The French company Sacred Tech has developed special sensors that are attached to the patient's body and transmit real-time data on heart rate, breathing, muscle tension, and skin electrical activity. These indicators help the exorcist determine the critical moments of the ritual and make the right decisions. Japanese engineers have created a robot assistant for exorcists called Angel 01, which can hold religious attributes, hand tools, and even play recordings of prayers if the priest is unable to speak for some reason. The robot is equipped with security systems and can call for backup if the situation gets out of control. Remote exorcism technologies, which have been developed during the COVID-19 pandemic, occupy a special place. The Vatican has officially allowed video conferencing rituals in exceptional cases. This requires specially secured communication channels with military-grade encryption, as the Church fears that demons could exploit vulnerabilities in conventional video conferencing systems. Israeli startups have developed an augmented reality app for exorcists that superimposes visual cues on the image of the possessed person. Prayer texts, movement patterns, timers, and other useful information. The priest sees this data through special glasses and can perform the ritual more effectively. Artificial intelligence has also found application in exorcism. Canadian programmers have created the Demon Detector System, which analyzes video recordings of suspected cases of possession and determines the likelihood of demonic manifestations. The system was trained on thousands of documented cases and has an accuracy rate of about 75%. Quantum technologies are opening up new horizons in the study of demonic phenomena. Swiss physicists suggest that demons may exist in quantum dimensions that are inaccessible to normal perception. Revolutionary changes in modern exorcism are associated not only with technology, but also with the participation of women in this traditionally male ministry. Although the Catholic Church does not ordain women as priests, it has allowed nuns and laywomen to participate in exorcism rituals as assistants to exorcists. This trend is radically changing approaches to combating demonic manifestations. Sister Maria Concepcion from Mexico became the first woman to officially receive the blessing to independently perform rituals of deliverance from evil spirits. In 15 years of practice, she has performed more than 800 successful exorcisms, specializing in cases of female possession. According to her observations, female exorcists are more effective when working with victims who have experienced sexual or physical abuse. In France, there is a unique group called Daughters of Light, consisting of 8 nuns from different orders who work together with male exorcists. They have developed special methods for working with children and adolescents, as young victims of demons are often afraid of male priests and are more comfortable interacting with women. Germany has become a pioneer in training female specialists in spiritual liberation. Special courses for nuns have been opened in Munich, where they study the basics of demonology, psychology, and medicine. German church authorities believe that female intuition and empathy can be more effective in combating certain forms of demonic influence. The Philippines gave the world the first female exorcist of Asian origin, Sister Maria Rose Mystica, who specializes in exorcising spirits associated with local pagan cults. Her methods combine Catholic traditions with elements of Filipino folklore, which has proven highly effective in working with the local population. New trends have also affected the age structure of exorcists. Whereas previously it was mainly elderly priests who entered this ministry, now the average age of exorcists is 42. Young priests are more open to the use of modern technology and scientific methods, which increases the effectiveness of the rituals. The international nature of modern exorcism has led to the creation of mobile rapid response teams. These teams, consisting of priests of different nationalities, can quickly arrive anywhere in the world to work on particularly difficult cases. Such teams necessarily include specialists in local cultural traditions and languages. Educational programs for exorcists have also undergone changes. Modern courses include the study of sociology, anthropology, comparative religious studies, and even the basics of journalism, as exorcists often have to work with representatives of the media. Particular attention is paid to the ethics and legal aspects of spiritual ministry. Psychological support for exorcists themselves has become a priority for church authorities. Working with possessed people has a serious impact on the psyche of priests. So now all exorcists are required to undergo regular consultations with church psychologists and participate in mutual support groups. Integration with medical institutions has reached an unprecedented level. Many hospitals in Catholic countries have full-time chaplains exorcists who work closely with psychiatrists and neurologists. But the most significant change is the recognition of exorcism as a form of palliative care for people with incurable spiritual suffering. The modern practice of exorcism is not without sharp criticism and high-profile scandals that periodically shake the Catholic world. Opponents of demon expulsion rituals accuse the Church of perpetuating medieval superstitions and harming mentally ill people. These accusations force the Vatican to constantly improve procedures and raise the requirements for exorcists. The most high-profile scandal occurred in Romania in 2005, when 23-year-old Marica Icrinanu died during an exorcism in an Orthodox monastery. Although the case was not related to the Catholic Church, it drew international attention to the problems of modern exorcism and forced all Christian denominations to review their safety protocols. The American organization Committee for Skeptical Inquiry regularly publishes critical materials on the activities of exorcists. According to their data, more than 90% of cases of alleged possession are actually related to mental disorders, which are exacerbated by religious rituals instead of medical treatment. The European Court of Human Rights has considered several lawsuits against the Catholic Church related to exorcism. In the case of Martinez versus Vatican, the plaintiff sought compensation for psychological damage caused by an unsuccessful exorcism. The court ruled partially in her favor, ordering the Church to pay compensation and to strengthen medical supervision during rituals. The psychiatric community is divided in its assessment of modern exorcism. The American Psychiatric Association opposes all forms of exorcism, considering them pseudoscientific practices. At the same time, the European Psychiatric Association takes a more moderate position, recognizing the possibility of cooperation with religious leaders in certain cases. Cases of exorcism on children are particularly criticized. International organizations for the protection of children's rights demand a ban on rituals involving minors, without the consent of psychiatrists and social services. In response to this criticism, the Vatican has tightened the requirements for child exorcism by introducing mandatory psychiatric examination. The media often covers exorcism in a sensationalist manner, which leads to a distortion of public perception of this phenomenon. Hollywood films have created a stereotypical image of exorcism as a spectacular and dangerous ritual, which is far from the real practice of modern exorcist priests. There is also criticism from within the Church. Liberal Catholic theologians believe that the Church pays too much attention to exorcism at the expense of social service and charity. They call for a focus on combating the real problems of modern society: poverty, inequality, and environmental issues. The financial side of exorcism also raises questions. Some priests charge significant sums for performing the rites, which is contrary to church canons. In Brazil, a scandal erupted over commercial exorcism, when several priests organized paid courses on exorcism for lay people. The legal aspects of exorcism remain controversial in many countries. In some states, religious rituals are exempt from medical regulation, while in others, the participation of doctors is mandatory. This legal uncertainty creates fertile ground for conflicts and lawsuits. The internet and social media have given rise to new problems. Many imposters pose as exorcists, offering their services through online platforms. The Church is combating this phenomenon by creating official registers of licensed exorcists, but it is not possible to completely control the situation. The academic community is also critical of exorcism. Anthropologists and sociologists see the modern revival of this practice as a sign of a crisis of rational thinking in society. However, some scholars acknowledge that exorcism may have therapeutic value as a form of placebo effect or psychological suggestion. Interreligious relations also suffer from the practice of exorcism. Representatives of other faiths accuse the Catholic Church of religious intolerance, as exorcists often associate demonic manifestations with participation in non-Christian religious practices. The Vatican responds to criticism by constantly improving protocols and increasing the transparency of exorcists' activities. In 2022, a decision was made to create a special commission to monitor the quality of exorcist services and investigate complaints. Despite criticism and scandals, the number of people seeking help from exorcists continues to grow, forcing the Church to look for new ways to respond to the spiritual needs of modern people. The future of exorcism in the digital age appears both promising and alarming. Technological advances open up new opportunities for diagnosing and treating spiritual problems, but at the same time, create fundamentally new forms of demonic influence that humanity has not yet encountered. Vatican futurologists predict the emergence of digital demons, evil spirits, that will use the internet, social networks, and artificial intelligence systems to influence people. There have already been cases of possession associated with excessive use of social networks, computer games, and virtual reality. The development of quantum computers could radically change approaches to the study of supernatural phenomena. In theory, quantum technologies will allow us to explore dimensions of reality that are inaccessible to modern science and, perhaps, find a scientific explanation for demonic manifestations. The Vatican is already investing in quantum research through the Pontifical Academy of Sciences. Genetic research may reveal a predisposition to spiritual problems at the biological level. Some scientists suggest that a tendency toward demonic influence may be inherited through certain genetic markers. If this theory is confirmed, it will be possible to prevent possession at the family planning stage. Humanity's space expansion will present exorcists with fundamentally new challenges. Will demons follow people to Mars and other planets? How can exorcism be performed in zero gravity or on the surface of another celestial body? The Vatican is already considering the possibility of training exorcist priests for future space missions. Artificial intelligence can both help exorcists and become a source of new problems. On the one hand, AI is capable of analyzing huge amounts of data on demonic manifestations and finding hidden patterns. On the other hand, the development of AI could lead to the emergence of electronic demons, malicious programs capable of exerting supernatural influence on people. Biotechnology opens up opportunities for physical intervention in the processes of possession. Researchers are exploring the possibility of using nanochips to block demonic influence on the brain or gene therapy to eliminate predisposition to spiritual problems. The Church is still cautious about such experiments. Globalization will lead to the unification of exorcism methods, but at the same time may lead to the loss of unique regional traditions. The International Association of Exorcists is working to create uniform standards that would take into account the cultural characteristics of different regions of the world. Climate change and environmental problems may affect the nature of demonic manifestations. Some researchers suggest a link between the destruction of nature and the growth of spiritual evil in the world. If this theory is correct, environmental degradation could lead to a global epidemic of possession. The aging population in developed countries will create new challenges for exorcists. Working with elderly people who are possessed requires a special approach that takes into account age-related changes in the psyche and numerous chronic diseases. The Vatican plans to create special geriatric training programs for exorcists. The most intriguing question remains whether it is possible to completely defeat evil. Will future technologies and knowledge be able to finally expel demons from the world? Or will the spiritual war continue until the end of time?